outward, if a human being can't tell the difference between something that is that a human being is a computer, then we will judge it to be intelligent. So that's a functional definition of intelligence. But and this goes back to the, what just said, like what do we mean? What do we mean by human beings when we say human beings are intelligent? We don't mean the outward phenomenon of behaving like,
which for me is good enough for dealing with it, as an aspect of reality. But I don't think that's a big problem with respect to the theological or spiritual position of the human being. But some of these things may require dispensing with some previous categories of thought or inherited categories.
Sort of our closest ancestors. So that's a really easy definition, right? To just plan on longer time scales. We're using to have sort of longer range working memory. We can manipulate things in our minds more at a more abstract level. But of course, if we now sort of step back and think about this from an Islamic point of view, humans are unique in having being khulafa of Allah on the land and having the ability to freely choose whether or not to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Animals are intrinsically, innately worshipping Allah, whether they choose it or not. But humans have this ability to choose. And so is seated in the frontal part of the cortex. There's no work showing that. There's no real framework to think about this. I'm particularly interested in my research into looking at higher goals. So we know that there are neurons in the brain that encode our goals. They tell us what our goals are and how far we are from them. We've discovered these even in simple organisms like mice. And we discovered this in the frontal part of the brain. How do these look like for higher order goals? So we can look at lower order goals. We think of goals as hierarchical. My goal right now is to finish the sentence. That's the sort of lowest level goal. But if I go one level up, it's to sort of describe my research. And I can keep going several levels up. And as a Muslim, hopefully the highest goal is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so is there something that we can look at in the brain to essentially statistical entities? That's all that AI really is. It's just sort of a matrix multiplication and differential equations. It really is just that. To see what these statistical entities can do and what they can't do, and appreciate the things that they can't do. And often the things that they can't do are things that we, as you said, are things that probably we didn't appreciate. I'd like to, I know people are a bit shy, but I'd like to get people going by asking them a simple question, and that is, how do you know the person sat next to you is human? And I'd love for people to be brave and tell me.
Did you want to ask a question?
Yeah, ask a question, not answer this question.
And then I see the answer that I get from that. Or what do you think of God, basically, Ibrahim's question. Makes sense.
إذ يقول لصاحبه لا تحزن إن الله معنا فأنزل الله سكينته عليه وأيده بجنود لم تروها وجعل كلمة الذين كفروا السفلى وكلمة الله هي العليا والله عزيز حكيم.